A powerful earthquake has rattled northern and coastal areas of the state. It happened at 10:44 a.m. local time, and journalist Steve Futterman is on the story and joins us now live from Los Angeles. So, Steve, what can you tell us?
Well, Andrew, as you mentioned, a very large earthquake, magnitude 7. That's considered a very large earthquake. Here is the good news. It occurred in the ocean around 100 kilometers west of the Pacific coastline in Northern California, approaching the Oregon border. It was also around 10 kilometers below the surface. So it wasn't very deep, but it also wasn't at the surface. So when you have the fact that it's off the shore and somewhat deep below the surface of the earth, that makes the damage, the potential damage, a lot less likely. And what we're hearing right now is lots and lots of shaking, especially in those towns nearby, very much unpopulated towns or very low population towns, not a major city like San Francisco. It's north of San Francisco, but a town like Eureka, California, they had lots of shaking. There may be some damage there, but we're not hearing any significant damage right now. There has been concern about a possible tsunami. There is a tsunami watch for even the San Francisco Bay Area, which is, I think, probably around 150 miles south of where this earthquake took place. I'm just guessing right now. But that tsunami warning is expiring, we believe, in the next 15 to 20 minutes. There's no indication of a tsunami, but people there are still on alert. So if this continues to be what it looks to be right now, it is certainly a major quake. Magnitude 7, only around 20 of those take place in the entire world each year. So it's a significant quake. But because it took place offshore, below the surface, it doesn't appear to have had much cause of damage. We will hear, of course, from people who live in the area in the next hour or so. We've already heard from some people talking about lots of shaking, maybe some dishes falling, but nothing, again, major right now. Still a fluid story, but it's looking like perhaps there's not a significant amount of damage.
Okay, so not a significant amount of damage, but Steve, when you talk about California and you hear earthquakes, that's always concerning. And then, as you say, a magnitude 7.0. And we want to let our viewers know that we're looking at aerial footage from KGO, which is based out of San Francisco. We're trying to figure out exactly what this aerial is, but we believe it to be of the San Francisco Bay Area. So, Steve, just tell us a little bit more about what a 7.0, what we know about this earthquake and the impact that it could have.
Well, let me put it this way. If that earthquake took place in the middle of San Francisco or the middle of Los Angeles, you would have massive amounts of damage and very likely lots and lots of deaths. So this is a major quake. But again, it's all about location. If you have a major quake in an unpopulated area or 100 miles or 100 kilometers away from the shoreline where people are living, it does limit the amount of damage you're going to expect. And again, the fact that it's 100 kilometers west of the Pacific coastline in that area north of San Francisco, between San Francisco and Oregon, it's called Humboldt County. One of the larger cities is Eureka, California. Because of its location, both in its distance from the shoreline and its distance below the surface of the earth, that makes the potential for damage far less. Now, I should point out this area in Northern California, there's a city called Crescent City, California. In 1964, it suffered a major tsunami. Around a dozen people were killed. 29 city blocks were destroyed. That was from the Great Alaska Earthquake from 1964. So people in this area are aware, if they're old enough, of major tsunamis that have happened in this area before. But again, right now, we're more than an hour after the earthquake. You would expect if there was a major tsunami right there at that location, they would have felt it already. They would have seen it already. Remember Fukushima, when it had its tsunami, that took place very quickly after the major earthquake there. We've not had a major tsunami right in that vicinity. So then you go to other areas around the Bay Area. Again, San Francisco, in around 15 minutes, its tsunami warning will be off. We don't see any indication of tsunamis forming, and people have been watching to see if they see any indication of that. Right now, again, you can't say it's a total free, all clear, but it doesn't appear that there's a tsunami that has formed and it's in the direction of San Francisco or other areas as well.
And then, Steve, just to continue a little bit as we continue to watch these images of a beachside area, and it does, as you say, as we're looking at the water looks looks normal. It looks fine. But when we think about earthquakes in California, we sometimes talk about the San Andreas Fault. This area is that north of that San Andreas Fault. Do you have a sense of that? And is there any concern around aftershocks?
Oh, yeah, there'll definitely be aftershocks. And we should point out, Andrew, there have been a number of pre-shocks before this. They've had a number of earthquakes in this area the last few days of magnitude 3, maybe one even that was magnitude 4. But a magnitude 7 is 1,000 times stronger than a magnitude 4. It's always a power of 10 for each number you go up. So 5 is 10 times, 6 is 100 times, 7 is 1,000 times stronger than a magnitude 4. So this one was much larger than the earthquake they've had there in the last couple of days. So they've been sort of on watch, aware that there might be something, because you can always have a prequel, not an aftershock, but a pre-shock, they call it. So they've been aware of this. But again, this is not the San Andreas Fault, but California has many faults. California, of course, well aware of the potential for earthquake damage. This, though, does not appear to be the San Andreas Fault. And again, we should point out also, this 7 could also be a prequel, conceivably. Unlikely, but it's always possible.
So always possible, so always sort of top of mind. And as you say, a 7.0, that is a strong earthquake. And so just remind us, Steve, from the information you've been able to gather, what it is that people felt in the area.
Oh, just tremendous shaking. I heard from one person, in California, they have these alert systems that, sometimes you get a warning that an earthquake's about to occur. I had that when I was in Tokyo after Fukushima. We would get warnings there about an aftershock. We would feel it maybe 30 seconds afterwards. There was one gentleman I heard on the air describing that he had just gotten the warning, and literally 2 or 3 seconds after the warning, the house began to shake, and it shook very, very substantially. Again, we've heard of situations where perhaps you have some dishes falling, things like that, but no major damage. Of course, sometimes you hear about major damage in the hours afterwards. So I don't want to, again, give an all clear, but again, this is a relatively low population area. People live there. There's no doubt about that, but it's not like San Francisco or Los Angeles. It's not a major urban center. They are mostly single-story or two-story homes. You don't have a situation with lots of high-rises. So the potential for damage does decrease with all these factors added into it.
Thank you. We will continue to watch this along with you. Steve Futterman live in Los Angeles. Now, Emergency Info BC is monitoring the earthquake, and just moments ago, they updated their website to say there is no tsunami threat to British Columbia.